Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. I thought today we would talk about the FV4030-3, or the Shir 2, which is the event vehicle. Now, you can get the Shir 2 now actually, there is now enough marks of distinctions that it should be unlocked for people. Gaijin ended up giving me a test drive of it, which is the standard practice for all content creators. They basically give out rentals of these vehicles at the end of events, so therefore people can give them a go, even if they haven't grinded the event. I have grinded the event, and will continue to grind the event, but one of the things I must mention is when creators get these test drives, you get the vehicle fully spaded. So this is not a review of me stock to spading. This is just a review of what it is when it is fully modified, because I'm not going to go through the setup of having to unmodify it and then adding mods as it goes. That's just not going to happen. So yesterday, what we did on stream is we ended up playing it the whole day, played 36 battles in it, ended up with a 72% win rate, and went 111 ground kills and 5 air kills to 28 deaths. So basically a 4-to-1 KD, or at least around a 4-to-1 KD, just less than that, and that what kind of shows you how powerful this thing is, even just by itself. One of the problems that we talked about when it came to the Shir 2 was the lineup. The fact that you basically only have the Roycat 105, and then you have all of the 9.3s of Britain to back you up. You do actually have quite a lot of airplanes that are really good in the lineup also, though. You have the Harrier GR3, and you have the Buccaneer S2. You also have the Jaguar GR1 that you can bring along, which are all around these BRs, which are all fantastic CAS aircraft in their own setup. But at 9.7, because it is kind of on an island, if you don't have the Roycat 105, it can feel a little bit frustrating. But as you can tell by those stats, and as you can, kind of glean from the gameplay yesterday, if you ended up watching the stream, which is publicly available, if you want to see more of like an overall look at it, the FV4030 is a very, very good carry. It is something that can do incredibly well when it comes to the match, and you, or at least I, would be incredibly surprised if this doesn't go up in BR. The vehicle itself has so many nice factors to it. It has the good old 120mm L11A5 Cannon, and I understand it only gets the L23 shot, but that just pierces through targets all day long, especially since a lot of people are playing 9.3 right now, with the Germans and also with the Soviets. The rounds that the 120 gets is just fantastic against them. The fact it gets the pretty good reload, if you have, of course, decent crew skills. You get the 3 pieces of first stage, which is manageable if you have a good loader, and then also you have the armor of a Challenger. What this vehicle is a Challenger Mk.2, which is at 10.3 in this game, but at 9.7 in terms of armor and in terms of mobility. The only areas that you kind of lose out on when it comes to the vehicle, you don't get thermals, and then also you don't get access to the slightly better round. The thermals are negligible. They don't really help me personally, because I'm on higher resolutions, and generally Gen 1 thermals look incredibly fuzzy. So the only difference for me between this and the Challenger Mk.2 that we have is the A1 round. So pretty much a few millimeters of penetration, around about 30 millimeters of penetration on the round. And that separates them by 2 significant BR brackets, which is just kind of crazy. And that's why our stats are as good as they are, because I just played this like a Challenger, but you're playing against stuff which struggles more to pen your turret, and then you are able to penetrate them more because they have lighter armor. Around 9.3, around 9.0, there is a ton of vehicles right now which are way more designed around mobility than they are designed around armor. The Begleitpanzer, the TAMs, stuff like the Leopards, for example, even things like the M60s, which you run into quite a lot in this thing, have no chance against your vehicle, because they are kind of set up like you. They're not really as mobile as some of the competition. They're supposed to have decent armor, and the main reason they're at those BRs is because they have a specific APFSDS round, and the FV4030 just chews them up. It's got great targeting speed, really good gun depression, and generally very good mobility. Now, when it comes to the armor, of course, it's Challenger armor, so it has the huge hole in the bottom of it, so obviously that is a problem. You want to go as hull down as possible in this machine, but generally, because of the targeting speed, you are actually able to play aggressive if you want to at this BR. I would say at higher BRs with the other challengers, the best thing to do is to actually, kind of hunker down, defend, hammer, and then go forward, counter-attack after you've soaked up the initial hit, and that works really well with them. With the FE4030, you can do that, especially since there's a lot of very hyper-aggressive players right now trying to do the event, but you don't have to. You could also do that hyper-aggressive style because of your targeting speed and also because of your gun. Now, another thing that has to be mentioned, this vehicle has very good optics for the gun. It has a 4 times to 11.5 times, which is a zoom, which is very nice, and the fact that it has such a difference between the two stages makes a huge difference to the vehicle itself. It really makes it a lot nicer. It also can actually survive quite a few shots from the side, and I know that sounds really weird, but what ends up happening is you have 2 layers that work in your favor. First of all, you have the tracks, and as we all know, when it comes to tracks, people, if they shoot them, the shot can end up getting stuck in the tracks. But then also what the FE has is it has this layer of exterior fuel tanks, and also a layer of rolled homogeneous armor, which sits around those fuel tanks. So people can shoot you in the side, the round can just get eaten by the fuel tank, very similar like it does to the front of a lot of Soviet vehicles, and then you don't even have to use an FPE because it's seen as an exterior fuel tank. So you just have to wait until the fire burns out and you're good to go. This means that you have kind of an extra layer of spaced armor which soaks a lot of damage from coming in. And also the RHA, the other 20mm, really hurts the round too. So the survivability of this thing at 9.7 is fantastic. The general targeting of it is also fantastic. There isn't really anything that is bad about it, apart from the fact it doesn't have a great lineup. And that's why I think that's the only reason I can see why this vehicle might stay at its BR. It shouldn't stay at its BR. It should definitely go up in BR. This vehicle should be a 10.0 vehicle, and therefore you can run it with the Desert Warrior, you can run it with the Stormer, and it'll be completely fine. But this staying at 9.7 means that it is on an island, and you do run it with a bunch of 9.3s, which are pretty good. You know, the MTTD, the Elephant Mk.2, if it's spaded, and then also stuff like the VFM5, plus all of the planes that we talked about. It can be a hyper carry for that lineup, and then you bring everything with it. But generally, you would want it to actually have a full lineup. And since it is such a powerful vehicle at its BR right now, I could easily see it going up. Now, does that mean they have to give it the new round? I don't think so. I think just leave it with the round that it has and then kind of make a choice from there. In general grinding terms, I don't think this vehicle is fantastic for grinding, unless of course you round the BR. It is a rank 6, which means that it can only efficiently grind rank 7, 6, and 5. So unless you are in those echelons of Britain, it isn't like a premium, right? So it's going to have a bit of a struggle. But one thing I will mention is it can efficiently grind all of the helicopters for Britain. And I know this sounds really weird, right? But remember, the research for helicopters can actually be done in ground vehicles. And since the FE4030 is in a position where it is at rank 6, it can actually efficiently grind all of them, which is really cool. I ended up getting the Wessex with this thing. I also ended up getting the Strela with this thing, which was the last vehicle I had to grind in the British tech tree, since that's the one that they recently added. So all I can say is if you're wondering what my opinion is of this vehicle, it's very good. Super fun to play, really had a great time the whole day playing it, and I would highly recommend playing it. As always, when it comes to the challenges, they are just fun, and I know there's a lot of people who don't like them because they're slightly slower than everything else, but put it like this, everything else around this BR, apart from the Leopard 2A4, has been buffed in certain ways. Whether it's reload, whether it's rounds, whether it's, survivability, And you know what hasn't and has stayed stagnant? The Challengers. And that's not because, like, the Gaijin hate the Challenger. It's because the Challengers actually do pretty good. And that is the same with the FE 4030/3. The good old Shir 2 is incredibly fun. As always, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd just like to thank GMG Smiley, CD Beans, Chieftain Mike, EMN3 Galaxy, Tulio Pontecorvo, Brendan Quinn, Carrion Crow, Gus Irenicus, Pyman, Wartinder, Teddy, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, B. Young, Ozzy Panzer, Alan Hacker, Liam Shear, Opium Prime, Lafouche, Sem, Aslan, Uncle Bean, and Derek R. for supporting the channel.